Have you ever built something you thought was unshakable? Something on a foundation so strong, so tested, that you believed it could weather absolutely any storm? Maybe it was a friendship, a family bond, or a marriage. You look at it from the outside, and it seems perfect. It seems enduring. But then, the ground shifts. Not with a dramatic quake, but with a slow, steady, relentless pressure. And suddenly, those tiny, hairline fractures you tried to ignore, they start to spread. What happens when the very thing that built your fairytale becomes the weight that threatens to break it? This isn't a hypothetical question. For Zach and Tori Roloff, the beloved couple from TLC's Little People, Big World, this is the raw, unfiltered reality of their marriage right now. For over a decade, we invited them into our living rooms. We watched their quirky, relatable love story unfold, from the charming proposal at the pumpkin stand to building a family of their own. They were the steady ones. The couple who seemed to have figured it out amidst the famous Roloff family drama. But the last few seasons, they haven't just shown us cracks. They've shown us a chasm, and the question on everyone's lips is a heartbreaking one. Are Zach and Tori Roloff really heading for divorce? Or is this the most painful, public transformation a marriage can undergo? Let's be clear from the start, this isn't gossip. This is an observation of a story they are choosing to tell. Their marriage crisis, playing out in real time on television and social media, is a masterclass in how life's most difficult choices, family, legacy, health, and geography, can collide with a relationship. So, grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, because we're going deep. We're going to unpack it all. The legacy of the Roloff farm, the heartbreaking medical decisions, the silent treatments, the separate lives, and the one, fragile thread that might just be holding it all together. Part 1. The Foundation, How We Got Here. To understand the crisis, you have to understand what made them Zach and Tori in the first place. Their story began off camera, a meeting through family. Zach, the playful, sometimes sensitive son of Matt and Amy Roloff. Tori, the bright-eyed schoolteacher who wasn't part of the LP world but stepped into it with open arms and unwavering love. We watched him propose in 2012 at the iconic Roloff Farms pumpkin stand, a symbol of his family's legacy. We cheered at their beautiful wedding. We celebrated the arrivals of their children, Jackson, Lila, and Josiah. Their dynamic was refreshing. Zach, with his dry wit and loyal heart. Tori, the grounded, patient, and fiercely devoted wife and mother. They presented a united front, especially when it came to parenting Jackson, who, like his father, has achondroplasia. They were a team. They were normal, in the most extraordinary of circumstances. The Roloff farm was the backdrop to their love story, a place of magic, of pumpkin season weddings, of family gatherings. It was home. But a foundation can have fault lines. And in Zach's life, one of the most profound fault lines has always been his relationship with his father, Matt. The dynamic between Matt the visionary, stubborn entrepreneur and Zach the son who longed for his father's approval and a simpler connection, is a central drama of the entire series. For years, a dream was nurtured, that Zach would take over the family farm. It was more than land, it was identity, legacy, and for Zach, perhaps a final way to earn that solid ground with his dad. Part 2. The Fracture Point, the deal that broke the dream. This is where our story takes its first devastating turn. The 2021 to 2022 seasons of Little People, Big World documented what can only be described as a slow-motion heartbreak. The family farm was for sale. Not just any part, but the 16-acre North property with the iconic homestead, the house Zach grew up in. Zach and Tori entered into serious negotiations to buy it. This was it. The culmination of a lifelong dream. To raise their kids where Zach was raised. To continue the legacy. But the deal fell apart. Spectacularly. And publicly. The reasons are complex, layered with decades of father-son resentment. Zach felt Matt was being inflexible, not offering them a fair family price, and treating the negotiation as a cold business transaction. Matt felt Zach was being unrealistic, not acknowledging the true value or the complexities of the property. The cameras captured the brutal fallout, tense meetings, accusations, tears, and ultimately, a shattered dream. For Zach, this wasn't just a failed real estate deal. This was his father, In his eyes, choosing business over family, yet again. This was the rejection of his vision for his own family's future. And Tori was right there with him, sharing the disappointment. But here's the crucial twist. While Zach's wound was existential, about his father, his past, his identity, Tori's concerns were pragmatic and forward-looking. She voiced worries about the financial burden, the sheer amount of work, the intrusion of the public onto the farm. She was, in many ways, the voice of reason. But in that moment, reason felt like a betrayal to a dream. The farm wasn't just a place. It was the third pillar in their marriage, alongside Zach and Tori. And when it collapsed, it left the two of them standing on suddenly unstable ground, staring at each other, with the biggest question of their lives now staring back. If not here, then where? Part 3. The Great Divide, Battleground versus Fresh Start. This is the central, agonizing conflict fueling the current marriage crisis. Zach and Tori are, quite literally, on different pages of a different atlas. Zach's stance, the battleground. For Zach, leaving Oregon feels like surrender. It feels like letting his father win. It feels like cutting the final tie to his legacy and his history. Oregon, despite the pain, is home. It's familiar. It's where his mom, Amy, lives. It's his turf. Staying, even in a different house nearby, is a statement of resilience. He is deeply, fundamentally rooted. Tori's stance, the fresh start. For Tori, Oregon has become a place of profound trauma and stress. It's not just the failed farm deal. It's the constant shadow of the Roloff family drama. It's the inability to escape the narrative. It's also, critically, about their children's health. Both Jackson and Lila have faced significant medical challenges. Jackson has undergone major leg lengthening surgeries, a grueling process. Lila has had her own developmental and health concerns. Tori has been the primary caregiver through these medical odysseys. She has expressed a desperate desire for a fresh start. A place where their family can be defined by them, not by a TV show or a family feud. A place where the air isn't thick with unresolved history. Her chosen location. Battleground, Washington. Just a few miles north, over the state line. A symbolic and literal line in the sand.
For Tori and Zach Roloff, the beloved couple from TLC's Little People, Big World, their family narrative has always been one of resilience, love, and, well, keeping us guessing. They've built their beautiful, chaotic life on the Roloff farm and beyond, with their 3 wonderful kids, Jackson, Lila, and Josiah. They've been open about their joys, their struggles, and the heart-wrenching decision to step away from the family farm. We watched them declare their family complete. But lately, there's been a whisper. A shift in the wind. A certain glow in photos, a cryptic comment in an interview, a dream shared that feels more like a premonition. It leads to one burning question that has fans buzzing across social media. Are Tori and Zach Roloff secretly planning for baby number 4? Let's rewind for a moment, because to understand the present, we have to look at the path that brought them here. Tori and Zach's love story unfolded right before our eyes. From their first dates to their fairytale wedding, they invited us in. Then came the excitement of their first pregnancy with Jackson. They navigated the unknowns of his diagnosis with dwarfism with such grace and honesty, making them relatable to so many. Their journey became a beacon for parents facing unexpected medical journeys. Then came Lila, their sweet daughter, completing what many thought was the perfect picture, a boy and a girl. The family of 4. But Tori and Zach had always spoken about a bigger family. And after a devastating miscarriage, a pain they shared with raw vulnerability, they welcomed their rainbow baby, Josiah. 3 children. A full, loud, loving home. In the aftermath of Josiah's birth, the message seemed clear. They talked about the physical and emotional toll. Tori spoke openly about her difficult pregnancies, her struggles with postpartum anxiety, and Zach echoed the challenges of balancing a growing family, his career, and their very public life. The phrase "our family is complete" was uttered more than once. It felt definitive. A period at the end of the sentence. So, why are we now reading between the lines? Why does the rumor mill, for once, feel less like gossip and more like a collective intuition? Let's break down the clues, the breadcrumbs that have fans connecting the dots. First, the social media aura. Go scroll through Tori's Instagram. It's a gorgeous, curated look into their lives, full of messy moments, sweet snuggles, and beautiful landscapes. But lately, there's a frequency of posts that feel nostalgic, reflective. Posts about how fast the kids are growing, with captions that dwell on the fleeting nature of the baby years. There was a recent photo of Tori holding a friend's newborn, her expression one of pure, wistful adoration. The comments section exploded. "You need one more. Baby fever. You look so natural, it's time." And while Tori is a master of the graceful non-answer, she's been liking more and more of these comments. It's subtle, but it's there. Second, the verbal shifts. In a recent podcast interview, Zach was asked about the possibility of more kids. Previously, his answer was a firm, "No, we're done." This time, it was, "You never know what God's plan is." A classic non-denial denial. Tori, in a Q&A, when asked if she'd ever consider another pregnancy, didn't say no. She said, "It's a complicated question. My heart says one thing, my body says another. We're just taking it day by day and seeing where life leads us." That is a massive shift from "we're complete." It's the language of possibility. Third, the life logistics. They moved into their dream home, a space they designed and built. It's spacious, it's tailored for their family's needs. But was there an extra room? A flexible space that could easily become a nursery? Observant fans have noted that in house tours, there's always one room that's vaguely referred to as the guest room office, but it looks suspiciously ready for a crib. Furthermore, with Jackson starting school and Lila not far behind, there is a logistical window opening. The intense, all-hands-on-deck phase of 3 very young children is transitioning. That shift often opens up emotional and physical space for parents to reconsider the family portrait. But we cannot, and must not, discuss this without weighing the very real, very heavy counterarguments. This isn't just a game of clues. This is real life with real consequences. Tori's pregnancies have been medically challenging. She has diastasis recti, a separation of the abdominal muscles, that was severe after Josiah. She's spoken about the pain, the long recovery, the impact on her mental health. Pregnancy for a woman with dwarfism also carries unique risks and requires careful, high-risk monitoring. Zach has also been open about his own health, his past brain surgery, and the need to manage stress. Adding a newborn to the mix is not a decision made lightly. They are incredibly responsible parents who prioritize the well-being of their existing family unit. Then there's the financial and emotional calculus. They are no longer on Little People, Big World in a regular capacity. Their income now comes from social media, podcasts, and Zach's real estate ventures. Another child is another college fund, another mountain of diapers, another lifetime of responsibility. And emotionally, they've just been through a tectonic shift, leaving the Roloff farm drama behind, setting boundaries with family, and establishing their own independent identity. Is now the time to add the beautiful chaos of a newborn? So, where does this leave us? Are they, or aren't they? Here's the twist, the heart of the matter. Maybe the question isn't are they expecting, but what does expecting mean for them now? Perhaps the plans aren't for a traditional pregnancy. Adoption has always been a topic close to their hearts. They've mentioned it in passing for years. Could they be expecting in the sense of pursuing adoption, fostering, or even embryo adoption? This would align with their pro-life values, their desire for a larger family, and could be a way to circumvent Tori's difficult pregnancies. It would be a powerful, inspiring next chapter for them. Or, perhaps, they are in a genuine state of joyful ambivalence. They are allowing themselves to dream, to hope, but without a firm timeline or plan. They are, as Tori said, taking it day by day. They might be waiting for a definitive sign, a feeling of absolute certainty. In a world that demands black and white answers, they are living comfortably in the gray area of maybe. And let's consider one more profound possibility. The new baby might be metaphorical. Tori has her teaching career, her book ventures. Zach has his business pursuits. Their podcast, Raising Heights, is like a baby they're nurturing. Their new baby plans could be about expanding their brand, building a new legacy entirely separate from the farm, and focusing on the 3 incredible children they already have. This period of speculation from fans might coincide with them planning a big, new project, a move, a show, a business that they haven't announced yet.
Okay, pull up a chair. I need you to think back. Think back to the most definitive moment of your life. The one you point to and say, that's when everything changed. For most of us, it's a quiet realization, a slow dawning. But for Tori and Zach Roloff, it was a single, earth-shattering phone call. A call that didn't just announce a new baby, but rewrote their entire story, challenged their deepest fears, and sent shockwaves of disbelief, joy, and pure, unadulterated "how is this possible?" through their entire family. This is the story of that moment. The birth, the revelation, and the beautiful, complicated, utterly shocking journey that brought not one, but 2 tiny miracles into the world of little people, big world. Let's set the stage. To truly understand the magnitude of this shock, we have to go back. We have to understand the Roloff lexicon. The name Roloff for over 2 decades has been synonymous with little people, big world. The groundbreaking TLC reality show that invited America into the life of Matt and Amy Roloff, their 4 children, and their iconic farm in Hillsboro, Oregon. We watched the kids grow up. We saw the marriages, the struggles, the triumphs. And we became deeply invested in their lives, especially when it came to family planning. Because in this family, genetics are not a subtle whisper, they are a central character. Matt and Amy are both little people, with achondroplasia being the most common form of dwarfism. Their children presented a real-world lesson in dominant gene inheritance. Their eldest, twins Jeremy and Zach, are both little people. Their daughter, Molly, is average height. Their youngest, Jacob, is average height. We saw the conversations, the worries, the statistics played out in real life. When Zach, a little person with achondroplasia, fell in love with and married Tori, an average height schoolteacher, those genetic conversations moved from the abstract to the intensely personal. We followed their journey with their firstborn, Jackson. The anxiety of the pregnancy, the waiting, the testing, and then the confirmation. Jackson inherited his father's achondroplasia. It was a journey of acceptance and immense love. They embraced their role as parents to a little person, learning about medical needs, advocacy, and building a world where he would thrive. Then came their second son, Lila. Another pregnancy filled with genetic curiosity. And another outcome where Lila, too, was born with achondroplasia. At this point, a narrative, unintentional but powerful, began to form in the public mind, and perhaps even in their own. The Roloff-Lant genetic combination seemed to strongly favor achondroplasia. The odds, while always 50-50ths with each pregnancy, felt destined. Tori and Zach openly discussed their family planning. They spoke about the real medical considerations, the risks to a little person mother, the potential need for C-sections, the different prenatal care. After Lila, they hinted that their family might be complete. The chapter of pregnancy, with its unique stresses, seemed to be closing. But life, as it so often does, had a different plot twist waiting in the wings. The announcement of Tori's 3rd pregnancy was a surprise in itself. But almost immediately, Tori and Zach did something different. They were coy, mysterious. In social media posts and show clips, they hinted that this pregnancy felt different. Tori had extreme nausea. She was measuring large. There were whispers and winks. The fan theories started flying. Could it be twins? But that seemed almost too fantastical, too dramatic even for the Roloffs. The idea was brushed off as wishful thinking by fans. After all, twins aren't that common, and there was no recent family history on Tori's side. Zach's twin is a fraternal twin, a different genetic scenario. So, the world waited. And on November 19, 2021, the wait ended. Imagine the scene. It's a planned C-section, a common and often safer delivery method for little people moms due to pelvic bone structure. The medical team is prepared. Zach is there, camera in hand, a bundle of nerves. The atmosphere is one of focused routine. They were ready to welcome their 3rd child. A sonogram had shown one healthy baby. One heartbeat. The expectation was set in stone. The procedure begins. There's tension, but it's the known tension of any birth. And then, the first baby is born. A beautiful, crying, healthy baby boy. Josiah Luke Roloff. Emotions overflow. Tears of joy. The relief is palpable. A moment of pure completion. Relationship with Jeremy and Audrey was more private but respectful. She had, in a way, won the moral victory by building a life of peace away from the farm's turmoil. But the cost was the fragmentation of the family she raised. So, let's look at the aftermath, the current state of this fractured kingdom. Matt and Karen finally married in 2021, in a lavish ceremony on the farm. Notably, only one of his 4 children attended. Jacob, who had begun a tentative reconciliation. Jeremy, Zach, and Molly were absent. The picture spoke 1,000 words. Here was Matt, celebrating a new beginning on the very land that symbolized the end of his old family. Amy married Chris Marek, in a more intimate wedding. Her life appears focused on grandkids, travel, and her own ventures, deliberately separate from the farm's drama. The show, Little People, Big World, continues, but it's a phantom of its former self. It's now a show about Matt and Karen running a business, with occasional visits from Amy and Chris. The core, the chaotic, loving, frustrating, whole family, is gone. The title itself now feels ironic. Their world, once so big and expansive on our screens, has seemingly shrunk. The shocking truth we must confront is this: reality TV doesn't just document life, it alters its very DNA. The Roloffs didn't just get a divorce. They performed it, Monetized it, and then watched as the performed version overwrote their real lives. Every grievance became a storyline. Every negotiation became a season finale cliffhanger. The need for narrative conflict ultimately consumed the authentic bonds. The divorce of Matt and Amy was the crack in the dam. What followed was the flood that washed away the shared history, the trust, and the collective future. It divorced father from sons, brother from brother. The relationship between Jeremy and Zach also appears strained, and the family from its own mythos. They are now a series of separate satellites, orbiting a memory of what they once were, a family on a farm under the Oregon sky, showing the world that little people could have a big, beautiful, united world. The ultimate, tragic twist is that they proved their own premise in reverse. They showed how a big world of fame, money, business, and cameras can make the most fundamental unit of all, the family, feel very, very small. In the end, the Roloff story is a modern American tragedy. Not of evil, but of entropy. Not of malice, but of misaligned dreams. It's a cautionary tale about the price of legacy, the weight of expectation, and the impossible challenge of trying to fix a family when the whole world is watching you break. This has been a deep dive into the layers of a reality TV earthquake. What remains is a landscape forever changed. The Roloffs taught us about resilience, difference, and love. And, perhaps unintentionally, they have now taught us about the fragile,